So earlier this year, I went to my very first Workbench Con and it was absolutely amazing. Like, there are no words to describe the feeling of walking into a room with 500 other makers, social media people, influencers, and just amazing, amazing artists. Now, one of the coolest things about Workbench Con is the fact that we're all still children at heart, and everybody hands out their stickers, or most people. I see you, you know what you did. Yeah. So since I have this awesome pile of stickers, I don't want to put these onto my normal sticker board because I want to like commemorate Workbench Con and my first time being there with its own special piece of wood. So I bought this piece of yellow heart and that with, oh god, wrong way, a little walnut trim. I decided to make a Workbench Con sticker board. So that's what we're gonna do today. And while I make this thing, I'm gonna talk about Workbench Con. So I wanna start this off by saying that this video is in no way sponsored by Workbench Con or by any brands. This is something that I wanted to put out as my own personal thoughts on the first Workbench Con that I went to, my experiences, and to hopefully help prepare anybody going again, or specifically for the first time, other things to know or to think about so that you can have an awesome time. So with that out of the way, what is Workbench Con? So to put it simply, Workbench Con is a conference. It's just a group of about 500 makers, builders, artists, creators, influencers, brands, and just all around awesome people who want to hang out for a few days and share some tips, some tricks, some skills, show off some new toys and tools and fun stuff that you could have in your shop. Some people stay up all night drinking, and that's cool too. You know, you do you at the conference. You do whatever you want to do. Yeah. It's kind of like Disneyland for adults who like to make stuff. That's pretty much how it is. Plus stickers. You know, you get all the stickers. All the stickers. It's really the only reason I went was the stickers. So when is Workbench Con? This year it's running from February 29th to March 2nd, but it kind of unofficially runs from the 28th. So I'll talk about that a little bit later, but officially the 29th to the 2nd. So the bottom line is you gotta get your butts to Atlanta, people. It's where you gotta go. It is held at the Renaissance Atlanta Waverly Hotel and Convention Center. I had to read that off the screen. That was too many words in a row. I'm trying to convince them to move it up to Canada. Like, we have Banff. If you guys have heard of Banff, it's pretty. I guess I can go to Atlanta again. Atlanta was pretty cool. I saw the freeway. I saw the convention center. I saw a restaurant, and I saw the convention center, and I saw a freeway. And the airport. I got lost in that thing. That airport is huge. Like, that's not cool. It's not cool. It's way too big.
That's what she said.
So you have to figure out how to get there. Maybe you can drive. Maybe you got to get on an airplane. Maybe you have to get on 3 airplanes and take a bus and an all-night train ride. I don't know.
I took 2 taxis, an airplane, and an all-night bus ride next to an old man that I am pretty sure had a full diaper.
Honestly, the best place to stay is at the Renaissance Waverly Hotel, which is where the conference is held. There are a lot of hotel options within a couple of blocks, but if you actually look on the map and do some of the distance calculations, they could be about a 15-minute walk away. Now that might not seem like a lot, but if you just want to run back to your room really quick, you're looking 15 minutes there, you're looking 15 minutes back, and you're looking at however long you're gonna spend in your room doing whatever you have to do in your room. You need to poop, you know, whatever it is, you're gonna probably spend 45 minutes to an hour away from the conference and away from everybody else. Whereas if you stay at the hotel, 1, that's where the party is. 2, it's where everything is going on and everything is happening. And 3, it's like a 2-minute walk to your room. You can then drop off your bag, pick up a water bottle, drop off, I don't know, your socks. If you don't want to wear socks, don't drop off your socks, please. Take a nap if you want to, and then you're just, boom, right back down in the action. So it really is the most beneficial place to stay. And just remember, there's going to be a lot of partying. Trust me. So it's a whole lot better at 2 in the morning when you want to stumble back to your room and go to bed, that your room is right upstairs, as opposed to needing to go and walk 15 minutes outside in the dark, or get a cab, get an Uber, something like that. So truly, just stay at the hotel. So the event registration begins at 3 p.m. on Thursday the 29th and goes until 7. So you definitely need to make sure that you are at the conference and at the hotel before 7 p.m. because that's when you're gonna get your tote bag. And there's so much stuff. That's also a good reason to stay in the hotel, is you can then just go and immediately put your tote bag upstairs in your room instead of needing to carry it around. Because at 5 o'clock is when the welcome reception begins, and everybody gets to, you know, start your initial meet and greet and talk and chat and just like go and commingle with all the other makers and just start having fun. And trust me, you don't want to be carrying your tote bag around for that. I carried mine around, and granted it came in handy later when Jason Hibbs from Bourbon Moth and I borrowed some beer from TotalBoat. The tote bag was handy for smuggling. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. It was really handy for smuggling, but you can't prove that we did it. But other than that, unless you need it for like shenanigans and tomfoolery, you don't want to be carrying your tote bag. So get that upstairs. So when I got to Atlanta, I arrived at about 4 p.m. on Thursday. And by the time I got through the airport and into an Uber and literally across the city, there was a newbie welcome meeting group thing that I completely missed. So it was a lot of good information for people that were attending Workbench Con for the very first time. That would have been handy to be there for. So when you're booking your flights, make sure that you arrive and can arrive at the hotel, I would say before 3 p.m. on the Thursday. However, the unofficial start date for Workbench Con is actually the day before. A lot of brands are going to be there setting up all of their booths and their tables and their equipment, and a lot of makers are going to be showing up then, and just having a lobby party at the hotel bar. And then that also gives you all day Thursday to go and explore Atlanta. I heard a lot of people went to the aquarium, which is apparently amazing. I don't know a lot about Atlanta, so you could go to the aquarium. It sounds amazing. They probably have like little fishies and stuff. But definitely make sure that you are there on time so you're not missing out. You're paying a lot of money for this, so get there on time and make the most of it. So a good amount of the food at Workbench Con is going to be provided for you. They're going to provide you 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and the rest you have to deal with yourself. So all your dinners, and there's a lot of really good places around the hotel, the conference center to go and eat. There's a place, I think it's called the Battery, for all your Duracell needs, unless you prefer Energizer. So a tip with that, if you are going out for dinner into the Battery, so be very, very careful if you let Sean Kirsch, also known as Shaper Sean, pick where you go for dinner. I am lactose intolerant. He chose a pizza place, which is usually fine because most pizza places will just take the cheese off. However, we went to Antico Pizza in Battery Park, and on their menu, they're very, very strict about no substitutions. Now, no substitutions also includes no removing of an item, which I find very strange because they're making all the pizzas to order. Long story short, I got stuck with a bread marinara and anchovy pizza because that was one of 2 of the vegan options that they had. and effectively the only ones that didn't have cheese on it. So I ate effectively bread and salty fish. I didn't go back. Not saying that it's a bad place to go for dinner, but probably a whole lot better if you're somebody who can eat cheese, then I would probably recommend going, but just know, no substitutions means no substitutions.
What? No soup for you!
So the 2 breakfasts and the 2 lunches that you get at the conference are pretty standard fare conference food if you've ever had that before. It's a lot of warming trays, and it's all right. I heard that it was a whole lot better this year than previous years. But again, it's conference food, so you're just gonna get what you get, and you don't get upset. That's how that goes. Now, the one big tip to make sure of is get down to breakfast early. Right? If it starts at 7, get down there right away. If it starts at 8, get down there right away. Whenever it starts, get down there right away. Because there was a little bit of a slip up on the first day, and breakfast got taken away an hour before it should have been. So people who slept in, came down a little bit late, breakfast was gone. They made sure that didn't happen the next day. Just make sure you're on time and early. So plus it gives you more time to sit there and hang out with people and drink coffee. Now, the one thing to make sure that you do is go and sit with people that you've never sat with before. Maybe you can bring a friend for like emotional support, like an emotional support maker friend, but definitely go and sit with new people, meet new people, swap stickers with them because really that's the reason you're there, and make a new connection and maybe make a new friend, somebody that you never would have come across and never would have met otherwise. So when it comes to dinners, other than the pizza place that we won't talk about anymore, the pizza place that shall not be named,
Voldemort. Silence.
There are a whole lot of other restaurants and things in and around the conference center, in the Battery, and even in the hotel. So I ended up eating my other 2 dinners at the hotel bar, which I thought was great. It was just really easy to go down, grab a burger, sit at the bar. I was very antisocial the first night. I was kind of like running out of steam and just needed to recharge and eat by myself. I sat up at the bar. It was awesome. The next night I sat down with just some random people and made some new maker friends, which was great. So this was a big surprise to me. I actually had no idea that there was going to be like classes where we could sit and learn things from other makers, which I think is one of the coolest things about Workbench Con is just you get to learn from other makers, other builders, other creators. So here's some tips and tricks for the classes and some of my personal experiences that might help if you're in a class. So one of the first things you want to do is make sure to get to the classes that you want to go to early. Some classes you actually make a thing. You get to create an object and there's limited number of spaces. An example is Jess Crow's epoxy course. That thing was full like 10 minutes before the class was scheduled to start. Now, not all the classes have you making a thing. Some are more lecture style and there's a lot more room in the room for people. But that doesn't mean there's always going to be a chair. So there was a couple classes that I went to where it was standing room only, and that was just what it was. Everybody was cool with it. Some people, sat on the floor. Some people stood at the back and just attended the class. Now, since some of the classes are hands-on and you do stuff, so it's a good idea to pack some PPE. So some earplugs, some eye protection, maybe a respirator, maybe a pair of gloves. Just in case, just so you have them, because there are power tools being used, there's carving being done, there's scroll saws being run, there's CNCs going. So make sure you're protected because nobody wants, something in their eye or, their nose or anything like that. It's no good. The classes were a little bit long. They were an hour and a half in length. That can be a good thing, that can be a bad thing. An hour and a half is a long time slot to fill, and that's a lot of information to put out there. It's also a long time for some people to sit still. So one of the biggest and most important things I think with these classes is having respect. And having respect for the person presenting, and having respect for everybody else in the room who is there to learn. As a personal example of what not to do, I sat in on one class and somebody sitting 3 seats down from me was having a conversation with the person beside them for almost the entirety of the class. So this made it extremely difficult and distracting to pay attention to the person who was presenting the class, especially when the person a few seats down thought they knew more than the person presenting the class. And I didn't really know why they were sitting there in this class, not teaching it, if they thought they knew more than the person up there giving the lecture. So unfortunately, it meant that my biggest takeaway from that class was not what the person presenting was trying to teach us, was this guy's being a dick.
You're a dick.
And maybe he should just leave. And there is nothing wrong with leaving a class in the middle. One course I went to, I ended up leaving about 10 minutes in. I realized that it wasn't for me, that it wasn't information that I needed to know. It was stuff that I actually did already know. And it wasn't going to be beneficial for me personally to sit there for an hour and a half, which, as hard as it is for a presenter to watch somebody leave your lecture, it is a whole lot better than to have somebody not sitting still, talking, and being a distraction. So I think what I'm trying to say is this is all about respect. Presenting is nerve-wracking, so just be respectful to the presenter that is putting themselves in a very vulnerable position in front of so many other makers and creators and people that are doing the exact same thing as them. Like, that is nerve-wracking. It's one thing to go and talk to a group of people who have no idea what you do, and you can just instill this knowledge, and if you make a mistake, no one's probably gonna know. But if you're presenting to a group of 30, 40, 50 people who know exactly what you're talking about, it can be terrifying because you don't want to make a mistake. So just have some decency for everyone, have some respect for everybody around you. If you aren't liking a class, aren't liking a course, just quietly leave. But also make sure to show up on time. There was one class that I was sitting in, and for 15 minutes after the class started, there were still people just opening the door and walking in, just casually strolling in, just finding a seat, distracting 40 people in the room, distracting the presenters. It ended up becoming just a joke as to, oh man, how many times is the door gonna open? And really, there's no reason for that. You're an adult. Show up on time. And if you're late for the class and the door's closed, maybe just think about what the cause is going to be of you opening that door, going in, and how many people are you going to be interrupting and distracting, and is that really worth it? Or just show up on time. Kind of simple. So one of the coolest things about Workbench Con is the fact that there are so many brands that are a part of it. It's like a mini trade show inside the conference, which is pretty cool. And you have this like exclusive badge that gets you in to talk to all of these awesome and incredible brands. So go and talk to them. Like, take that as your opportunity to go and see what they're all about, see if they make cool tools that you want to try out, see how they like you and how they like your vibe. And if there's maybe a way to strike up a deal for a sponsorship or an affiliate, or, you know, maybe you'll just get some swag, which is pretty awesome, because everybody likes swag. But the biggest thing with brands is to make sure that you don't go in with an expectation that they're just gonna give you stuff. And that doesn't matter if you have 50 followers or 50,000 followers. You need to build a relationship with a brand. They need to get to know you and your personality and how you are and what you make and what you do. And you need to get to know them. You need to see if there's going to be a vibe that's going to go both ways and be beneficial for both of you. Now, I know that's something that might be easier said than done, because going up and just talking to a brand that you've never talked to before, that maybe you've been like coveting forever, is going to be a daunting thing. But remember, they're just people, and they're there to meet you. Like, that's why they're there. So don't just walk by them and like look away and all that.
Look away, I'm hitting.
Just go up and have a conversation, and maybe go back an hour later and have another conversation, and maybe go and put googly eyes all over all of their stuff and just see what happens.
Security on you.
Hey, what?
Security
I
on
heard
you.
something happened to your booth last night.
Everyone's gone to dinner, which means
We were assaulted.
we get to have some fun.
Security has been called.
I have no idea what happened.
They all have names now. Do they have it?
Do you think they'll notice?
Just sometimes stuff happens, okay? So as I mentioned, the thing with brands is a lot of them do not care how many followers you have. So don't feel like just because you don't have 25,000 followers or 20 million followers or however many arbitrary followers you think you need to go and talk to a brand or maybe work with a brand, don't let that stop you from going and having the conversation. Because a lot of brands do like accounts that can have a smaller following. There is something to be said about being the first brand to invest in a maker. You'll never forget your first one. It's like losing your virginity. You will always remember your first. And brands know this too. That doesn't mean that they're gonna pop your cherry just because you say, hey, I'm not sponsored or affiliated with anyone, because they're not sluts. Some might be, but not all of them. I digress. What I'm trying to say is the best way, if you are looking for sponsorships or to be affiliated with a brand, is to just go and be you. Just go and talk to them, but do not expect that they're just gonna hand you a product, that they're just going to sign you up and be like, here, take all of this stuff. Because if you go in with that expectation, you will be disappointed. So end of the day, the brands are there for you to talk to. So go and talk to them. Don't be shy. I heard from a few friends that were there this year that they were just a little too nervous and too awkward to go up and talk to the brands. I felt that was really unfortunate because the brands are there for you. So make sure you're taking advantage of all of the opportunities that are there, and you never know. A door might open up that you never expected would. There's a lot of people that are gonna be there. And there's also a lot of big names in the maker, builder, YouTuber, influencer community. Maybe some of these folks are one people that you've looked up to for years, that you watch all of their content, all of their things. Like every week that they put out a video, you are one of the first people to watch it. And now they're standing in front of you. And you're afraid and you're scared because, oh my God, it is, insert name of person here. But just remember that they're human. And you're human. And you can just talk to them like another human because they're just a person. They're a maker, they're a builder, they're a content creator. Those could be all things that you're doing also. So guess what? You already have a lot in common. And the best part is you are both standing at Workbench Con. So seize the day.
Carpe diem.
Seize the moment.
This is Sparta!
And go and talk to them. Now, a lot of people are nervous about that, about going up to the Bourbon Moths and the Blacktail Studios and so many other big makers and creators that are out there. So here's a tip. If you want to break the ice with somebody and you know who they are, and you can mention a specific thing that they have done, that they have made, that you really like, that is a great way just to open that door and go and have a conversation. It's also a little bit more memorable than saying, I like what you do. That's cool. I like what you do too. Don't get me wrong, it's a great compliment, but at the same time, it's like, I do a lot of stuff. These creators do a lot of stuff. So what stuff do you like? Do you see how all that kind of feels flat and weird and awkward? That's what happens if you're just like, hey, I like what you do. But hey, I like this specific table that you made. I like this specific charcuterie board. I like this specific bookcase. I like this specific thing. Insert thing here. It's gonna mean so much more to them, and it should hopefully help them open up and get that conversation going with you. And then maybe, they tell you the story about them swallowing their nose ring. It was a good story. It was great. So at the end of the day, just don't miss the opportunity. Don't go home saying, oh man, I wish I had gone and talked to so-and-so. That would have been great. Don't go home with that regret. Go up and talk to them. They're just a person, same as you. Doesn't matter if they have 2 million followers and you have 20, because they had 20 one day also. So some of the most fun things about Workbench Con really is just the socializing and the partying with everyone. The first night, there is the welcome mixer. Everybody just gets to kind of hang around and have some drinks and just socialize and start getting to know everyone. The second night, there was an actual like party night. There were poker tables, although not quite enough. There's also things like there's giant Jenga, and there was a DJ, and there was other games and things. And dancing? People danced. That happened. And the coolest thing about every night at Workbench Con is when you think the night is over, it's never over. It doesn't stop. The lobby bar is the place. So where I mentioned before about showing up potentially a day early, that is where everybody is going to be congregating, or that's what I have heard and that's what I have witnessed, is everybody congregates at the lobby bar and just hangs out. I think the party was going until 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. Like it just keeps going. It just doesn't stop. If you are tired and if you are sleepy, just leave. Just leave and go to bed. If you try and like slowly make your way through the crowd, saying goodnight to people, saying I'll see you in the morning, blah, 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 you will be there for another 2 hours. That is a fact. Don't ask me how I know. So if you need to go to bed, if you need to go to sleep, just leave. But maybe you don't want to go to bed. And apparently that is allowed. There's like I think it was called the last maker standing for like who can make it through the night. I know people who stayed up all night on the Friday night. I don't really know how they functioned and got through Saturday. I wouldn't. I would just, I don't know, fade into dust or something. But yeah, if you have that in you, you can definitely just stay up all night, party, and go for the gold, you know? So what does it all cost? So I'm going to break down what it cost me personally out of pocket to go to this event. So the Workbench Con ticket was $549 USD. My flight direct from Calgary to Atlanta, which was about a 4-hour flight, was $750 Canadian. The hotel at the discounted rate for 3 nights, so Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, was $636 US. Food, so we had pizza, we had a couple of dinners at the hotel, Sunday morning breakfast, which was at there was a little hotel cafe, little coffee bar thing. I got like a strudel and a coffee. Lunch at the airport on the way home. So all of that comes to around $131 US. The Uber to get from the hotel to the conference was $63. So I didn't pay for the Uber on the way back to the airport. There was a group of 4 of us that split it. We were all Canadians heading home. So I chipped in what I had in my pocket, which was $10 Canadian. Thanks, Chris. Some other expenses that you might have are things like merchandising for yourself, whether you're getting t-shirts or apparel or stickers to bring with you, or other things and miscellaneous items. So for me, that came to about $175 Canadian. So all tallied, the entire trip came to just under $2,800 Canadian, which is a little over $2,000 US. So take that as you will, run some numbers yourself, and see if $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. I don't drink, so you know, I saved a whole lot of money there. So if you're somebody who consumes the wobbly pops, you might spend a little bit more. So be prepared for that. Budget for all of those things. But this might be a nice rough estimate for how much it could cost you to go. And even though this seems expensive, it is still worth it. So one of the big important things about planning for Workbench Con is actually planning for the few days after Workbench Con. So you're either going to be arriving on Wednesday or Thursday, and most likely flying home Sunday, potentially with the idea that you're going to go back to work on Monday. That's a really bad idea. If you can plan to take at least 1 to 6 days off after Workbench Con, your body will thank you. I know for me, I spent about 3 to 4 days really just doing nothing once I got home. I got there on Thursday afternoon. I flew home on Sunday. I got home, I think, about 7 or 8 o'clock Sunday night. And I think it was Thursday or Friday until I actually did anything productive. And I didn't even stay up all night. So you are probably going to be tired. You might catch a cold. There were a few people, unfortunately, that came home with COVID. You might even also just need a couple of days, just to mentally unwind and even just to like finish absorbing all of the information that you took in. So if you can take a few days off of work, it's probably just a good idea. So here are just a few of the things that I learned that I feel really important. Firstly, arrive on Wednesday. I think it's a really cool way to make sure that you get an extra half day of partying, that you're not going to be late to the welcome reception and the registration. Reading. Another important thing is don't let Sean pick where you're going to eat. Unless you like marinara sauce with bread and anchovies, that guy. Look at the schedule before you go. Realize there's things to do. And there's a map. So plan out the classes, the courses, the things that you really want to do and that you want to partake in, and make sure to get there on time or early. Early is better. On time is okay, but you still might not get a spot. More sleep, because these are long days, they are packed days, there's a lot going on, and to just feel groggy and feel tired is not going to be a good thing. So get your sleep. Honestly, remember that everyone is there for the same reasons. You're there to hang out with like-minded people, learn from each other, chat, build strong relationships, and hang out in person, maybe for the first time, with all of these amazing online friends. So take full advantage of that, because it might be another year until you see them again, or longer. So I know that you're an adult, except for you, Evan. I know that you're an adult and, you can probably figure out all the things that you should bring, but there are some extra things that maybe you just want to throw into your bag, and that would be PPE, just in case you partake in one of the activities that you might require a little added protection to mainly your face holes. Think about bringing a checked bag. This is a big tote bag. I was able to get everything shoved into my bag onto a carry-on, but there were a few things I was a little worried about if they were gonna let through security. Comfortable shoes. I shouldn't need to say anything. That was ugly. Definitely bring a water bottle, some electrolytes, and maybe some like emergency and lozenges, like throat lozenges kind of thing. Yeah, they'll help a lot. I shouldn't have to say this. Deodorant? Gum? Breath mints? Please. Hand sanitizer. There's a lot of touching. Not in an inappropriate way, I hope. But, handshakes and high fives and like fisty bumps. You don't know what someone else has touched. Just a little sandy action, and you should be good. Are the stickers. Like, if you're not bringing stickers, like, why are you even bothering? Why are you even going if you're not bringing stickers? I'm just saying. That's why we're all here. It's for the stickers. So there it is, right there. Look, it's right there. I have to say, I think it looks pretty dang good. So good, in fact, that I don't think I'm gonna put the stickers on it. I think it's too pretty. What do you think? I know it's pretty, but it is a sticker board. It needs stickers.
They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I'ma keep chasing. I got all this potential that's deep inside of me, but they hate when you're successful cause they try to be. They sit there being judgmental because you're trying things, and they just want you to settle and do the right thing. So get a good job, don't slack off. Wake up every morning, make a good impression on your boss. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do, and when you're making money, make sure you don't spend it too soon. Fuck that, I'll do what I wanna do. I got a different path from everyone, and that includes you. Who are you to tell me how to live life? In these times it feels like nobody's right, yeah. So I'ma figure out what else we succeed, and then invest all of my time into that and proceed. I need whatever the hell could make me happy, and I don't think you have a clue what could that be. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I'ma keep chasing. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that can make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I'ma keep chasing.
So before we put the last sticker on the board, I'm gonna go to one of the questions that I haven't answered yet. And my question is, who is the coolest person there? And this question came from Mr. Sean Kirsch. So, Sean, definitely the coolest person there is this person right here, and that's Jess Crow, because she was the one that introduced me to you. So if she's not the coolest person there, then I don't know who is. So there we go. It's a sticker board. Look at it. Thanks for checking out this video. Hopefully you guys learned maybe a thing or two about what to expect if you decide to go to Workbench Con, which you should, because it's awesome. Because all these cool people will probably be there, and you just get to hang out with so many like-minded people. It's absolutely amazing. So hopefully I see you there. Plus, if you go, you get stickers. If there's no other reason, that alone should be enough.